The sun was slowly sinking behind the crowded streets of Lahore. The air carried a mixture of dust, roasted corn from the roadside stalls, and the impatient honks of buses fighting for space on the road. People rushed back from work, each lost in their own world, each carrying stories of their day. Among the crowd stood Aliyah, a girl of 22. She wore a simple light blue shalwar kameez, her dupatta neatly pinned, her hair tied back in a modest braid. Her face wasn't painted with makeup, yet her soft brown eyes carried a depth that made anyone look twice. She wasn't from a wealthy family, but her dignity and grace were her ornaments. She worked at a small bookstore in Anarkali Bazaar, managing accounts during the day and arranging shelves during the evening. Her father had passed away 5 years ago, leaving behind debts and responsibilities. Since then, Aliyah had learned to live with less money, less luxury. But her heart was still rich in kindness. She lived with her mother, who suffered from weak health, and her younger brother Hassan, a bright boy in school with big dreams. That evening, Aliyah had stayed a little longer at the shop, arranging books for a new display. Her feet were tired, her salary barely enough, but her smile never faded. As she walked to the bus stop, her mind was busy calculating. If I save a little this month, maybe Hassan can join tuition classes. Alma's medicines are finishing too. But I'll manage. I always do. The bus stop was already crowded. Men in office clothes, women with shopping bags, students with heavy backpacks. Everyone was impatient, waiting for the next bus to arrive. That's when Aliyah noticed him. A young man, tall, dressed neatly in a white shirt with sleeves rolled up, looking slightly restless. His eyes searched his pockets again and again. His forehead creased, and his lips pressed together in frustration. The people around had already started noticing. The conductor's sharp voice cut through the noise. Bye, Paisari Nicolo. Karaya du warna nache uterjeo. The man froze. He looked around, as if searching for help but unwilling to ask. He clearly had no money on him. Some people smirked, others whispered. Aliyah could feel the humiliation burning in his silence. For a moment, she hesitated. She had only a few extra coins, just enough to get home and maybe buy bread for dinner. But then, something in her heart nudged her forward. With quiet courage, she stepped closer and handed the conductor the fare. Main de deti hun uska karaya, she said softly. The conductor gave her a quick glance, shrugged, and moved on. The bus roared to life again. The young man looked at her, shocked. His eyes, hazel brown, gentle yet intense, met hers. There was something about them, something that carried both gratitude and shame. You didn't have to do that, he said, his voice low but sincere. Aliyah smiled faintly, brushing it off. It's just a bus fare. Don't think too much about it. But inside, her heart beat a little faster. Not because of the money, but because of the strange intensity in his gaze. It was as if he wasn't used to being helped. They both got onto the bus. Aliyah sat by the window, while he found a seat across from her. The bus rattled through the city, stopping at every corner. Aliyah looked out, her thoughts drifting. She didn't glance back at him, but she could feel his eyes on her, studying, observing, as if memorizing her presence. The silence between them was strange, almost heavy. She adjusted her dupatta nervously. He finally spoke, leaning slightly forward. What's your name? Aliyah turned, startled. Why? He gave a small smile, almost boyish. So that I don't spend the rest of my life calling you, the girl who saved me. Aliyah's lips curved into the tiniest smile, but she quickly hid it. My name isn't important. And I didn't save you. It was just some coins. Coins, maybe, he said softly, but you saved me from embarrassment. That matters more than money. Before she could reply, the bus jerked to a halt. Another wave of passengers pushed in. Their conversation ended, but something had already been exchanged between them, something invisible yet undeniable. Aliyah got off at her stop. As she stepped down, the young man called out, almost impulsively, "Wait, at least tell me your name." She turned, her braids swaying gently, her eyes meeting his for a brief second. "Aaliyah," she whispered, and walked away. He sat frozen for a moment, repeating her name under his breath. "Aaliyah." That night, as Aaliyah walked through the narrow lane leading to her home, she tried to convince herself that it was nothing. Just a stranger. Just a bus ride. Just a few coins. But deep down, a small voice in her heart whispered, "This isn't the end. It's the beginning." And for Rayyan, that bus ride wasn't just a journey. It was the moment his life had quietly taken a turn towards a story he had never imagined. Neither of them knew, but destiny had already written their names in the same chapter. The stranger she helped was not just any ordinary man, he was someone whose truth would one day shake her world. The next morning began like any other for Aaliyah. The small alarm clock on the wooden side table buzzed at 6 a.m. She quietly got up so her mother could rest a little longer. Hassan's school uniform was already ironed from the night before. In their modest two-room home, every corner spoke of struggle, but also of love. She prepared chai and parathas, placed Hassan's lunchbox on the table, and gently woke him up. "Hassan, jaldi uth jo beta. You'll be late for school." Hassan groaned, hiding his face in the pillow. "API, 5 more minutes, please." She smiled, shaking her head. "If you don't get up now, I'll eat your paratha myself." Within seconds, Hassan jumped up. Both of them laughed, and for a moment, the heaviness of life melted away. After sending him off to school, Aaliyah helped her mother with household chores before leaving for work. The bookstore was her second home. The dusty smell of old novels, the colorful covers of new arrivals, and the quiet atmosphere gave her peace. By afternoon, the shop became busier. Students walked in to buy notes, readers browsed novels, and some came only to enjoy the coolness of the air conditioner. Aaliyah was arranging a new shelf when she heard a familiar voice behind her. "Excuse me, do you have any novels by Paulo Coelho?" She froze. The voice, it couldn't be. Slowly, she turned, and her eyes widened. It was him. The same stranger from last night's bus. Rayyan. He stood tall, dressed simply but neatly, with that same gentle intensity in his eyes. For a second, Aaliyah wondered if fate was playing tricks on her. "You!" she whispered, almost to herself. Rayyan smiled, a little relieved. "So I wasn't imagining your name. Aaliyah, right?" Her heart skipped. "How do you know this shop?" "I didn't," he admitted, glancing around. "I was just walking by, and then I saw you." Aaliyah frowned slightly, though her cheeks warmed. "Are you following me?" Rayyan raised his hands quickly, laughing. "No, no. I promise. Pure coincidence. But I'm glad it happened." Before she could reply, the shop owner, Uncle Rashid, appeared. "Aaliyah Beta, yeah, customer hi?" "Yes, uncle," she answered. "He's looking for a Paulo Coelho novel." Rayyan smiled politely at Uncle Rashid, but his eyes returned to Aaliyah. She reluctantly guided him to the right shelf. As she handed him the book, their fingers brushed for a brief moment. Aaliyah quickly pulled her hand back, feeling an unfamiliar flutter in her chest. Rayyan noticed her discomfort. His voice softened. "Look, I wanted to thank you again for yesterday. I know it wasn't much for you, but for me, it meant something." "It was nothing," she said, busying herself with rearranging books. "Anyone would have done the same." "No," Rayyan said firmly. "Not anyone. Most people looked away. You didn't." Aaliyah stayed silent. Before leaving, Rayyan hesitated. "Can I ask something? Will I see you again?" Her eyes shot up. "Why?" He smiled faintly. "Because, sometimes, a stranger doesn't feel like a stranger." Aaliyah's heart raced. She didn't answer, and Rayyan didn't press further. He paid for the book and left, leaving behind a strange emptiness in the quiet shop. That night, Aaliyah sat by the small window in her room, looking out at the stars. Her mind kept replaying his words. Sometimes, a stranger doesn't feel like a stranger. She scolded herself. Stop thinking about him, Aaliyah. He's just someone you helped. Nothing more. But Destiny had other plans. The very next evening, when she left work, she found Rayyan waiting outside the bookstore. He leaned casually against the wall, holding the book she had sold him, as if he had been there for hours. Startled, she asked, "What are you doing here?" His answer was simple, almost disarming. "Waiting for you." And that was the moment Aaliyah realized, this stranger was not going to leave her story so easily. But little did she know, his world was far more complicated than hers, and stepping into it would change everything. For the next few days, Aaliyah found herself looking for him unconsciously, at the bus stop, near the bookstore, even in the crowd of streets. She scolded herself for it, but her heart betrayed her mind. And then, as if fate was teasing her, Rayyan appeared again. It was a rainy evening. The sky had turned gray, the streets glistened with raindrops, and people rushed to find shelter. Aaliyah stood under the bookstore's narrow shade, waiting for the rain to soften before leaving. Suddenly, she heard a familiar voice. "Do you always wait for the rain to stop, or do you sometimes dance in it too?" Her heart skipped. Turning, she found Rayyan standing there, half-drenched, his hair falling over his forehead, his smile boyish yet charming. Aaliyah frowned, though her lips wanted to smile. "You again? Are you stalking me now?" Rayyan chuckled. "No. Coincidence. Again. Maybe destiny likes seeing us together." She rolled her eyes but couldn't hide the warmth rising in her cheeks. Rayyan extended his hand, holding an umbrella. "Can I walk you home?" For a moment, she hesitated. But the rain was pouring heavily, and her dupatta was already soaked. With a reluctant sigh, she nodded. "Fine. But only because of the rain." They walked side by side, the umbrella just enough to cover them both. Drops of water trickled down from the edges, splashing their feet. Aaliyah kept her eyes ahead, but Rayyan stole glances at her every few seconds. "Why do you always look away when I try to talk to you?" he asked suddenly. "Because I don't like unnecessary conversations," she said firmly. "Unnecessary?" He smiled. "What if I say this conversation is the most necessary one for me?" She stopped for a second, caught off guard. His tone wasn't teasing, it was sincere. She quickly started walking again. "You don't even know me. I'm just a girl who paid your bus fare once. That's all." Rayyan slowed his pace, his voice softer. "Sometimes one moment is enough to change everything." Aaliyah didn't reply, but deep inside, her heart stirred. By the time they reached her street, the rain had lessened. Aaliyah stopped near her gate. "Thank you for the umbrella," she said quickly, trying to end the moment. Rayyan smiled. "Will I see you tomorrow?" She raised an eyebrow. "You're too confident." He grinned. "No. Just hopeful." Before she could respond, Hassan's excited voice called out from inside the house. "API. You're back." Rayyan's eyes softened as he saw her little brother run toward her. Aaliyah waved quickly at Rayyan. "Goodbye." Rayyan watched her disappear inside, a strange warmth filling his chest. That night, Aaliyah lay awake. She hated to admit it, but his words kept echoing in her mind. Sometimes one moment is enough to change everything. And perhaps, unknowingly, something was changing. Days turned into weeks. Rayyan found excuses to come by the bookstore, buying books he probably didn't need, asking questions just to hear her voice. At first, Aaliyah kept her guard up. But slowly, her defenses began to weaken. One evening, while arranging books, she caught him watching her quietly. "What?" she asked, trying to sound annoyed. Rayyan smiled softly. "You look different when you're lost in books. Like the world can't touch you." She felt her heart flutter. "You notice too much." "I notice only you," he said, almost in a whisper. Her breath caught, and she quickly turned away, pretending to scold him. "Don't say such things." But his words had already reached her heart. Their conversations grew longer, sometimes about books, sometimes about life. He told her about his love for traveling, about how he admired people who lived simply. She, in return, shared her dreams of opening a small library for children someday. Every moment with him felt easy, natural. Aliyah began to feel something she hadn't in years: lightness, laughter, hope. But in the corner of her heart, a voice whispered, "Don't fall too fast. Don't trust too soon. Life doesn't always give happy endings." And yet, when Rayyan looked at her with those honest eyes, she wondered, maybe this was different. Maybe this was meant to be. But what Aliyah didn't know, Rayyan carried a truth about himself that could shatter everything if revealed. The bookstore had become their silent meeting place. Day after day, Rayyan would find a reason to drop by. Sometimes he bought novels, sometimes just a pen, and sometimes nothing at all. Aliyah pretended not to notice, but her heart knew. She had grown used to the sound of his voice, the way his eyes lit up when he spoke, and the strange peace she felt around him. One evening, as the golden sunlight filtered through the dusty windows of the shop, Rayyan walked in with a different energy. His steps were lighter, his eyes brighter. "Aliyah," he called softly. She looked up from the counter, raising her brow. "Another book today? Or just window shopping again?" Rayyan laughed. "Neither. Today. I came for you." Her heart skipped. She quickly glanced around, making sure Uncle Rashid wasn't nearby. "What are you saying? Someone will hear." Rayyan stepped closer, his voice gentle but firm. "I don't care if they hear. I need to say this. Ever since that bus ride, something has changed in me. I don't know why or how, but I feel like I was meant to meet you." Aliyah froze, her fingers tightening around the book she held. Rayyan continued, his tone soft yet trembling with honesty. "You've become a part of my thoughts, Aliyah. When I wake up, I wonder if I'll see you. When I sleep, your smile follows me. I've met so many people, but no one has ever made me feel like this." Her chest rose and fell rapidly. Words stuck in her throat. She wanted to tell him to stop, yet deep down, every word was exactly what her heart longed to hear. "Rayyan," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Don't say such things. You don't even know me properly." He shook his head, his gaze unwavering. "I may not know everything about you, but I know enough. I know you're kind, selfless, strong. I know you've seen struggles, yet you smile. I know you carry responsibilities, yet you never complain. And that's enough for me to say, I care for you." Her eyes burned with unshed tears. Nobody had ever seen her like this before. Not even her closest relatives understood her pain the way this stranger did. But fear gripped her. What if this was temporary? What if he was just passing through her life? She took a deep breath, forcing a shaky smile. "Rayyan, we live in two different worlds. I'm just a simple girl. I have a sick mother, a little brother, and a mountain of responsibilities. I don't have time for feelings." Rayyan stepped even closer, lowering his voice. "Love doesn't ask about responsibilities or backgrounds. It just happens." Her heart trembled. For a moment, she almost let herself believe. But before she could respond, Uncle Rashid's voice broke the silence. "Aliyah, ye books ka hisab lika." She quickly stepped back, wiping her eyes. "Coming, Uncle." Rayyan clenched his jaw, frustrated at the interruption, but he didn't push further. He quietly left the shop, his heart both heavy and hopeful. That night, Aliyah sat by her window again, hugging her knees. The city lights twinkled in the distance, but her thoughts were only of Rayyan. His words echoed in her mind, over and over. "You've become a part of my thoughts. I care for you." Her tears slipped silently. "Why does it hurt to hear what I've always wished for?" The next day, Aliyah avoided the bookstore for as long as she could. But fate had other plans. As she walked home, Rayyan appeared again, stopping her in the narrow lane. "Aliyah, please, don't run away from this. I don't expect you to answer today. But at least don't deny that you feel it too. She looked into his eyes, and for the first time, she couldn't lie. Her voice shook. Yes. I feel it. But I'm scared, Rayyan. People like me don't get happy endings. Rayyan's heart raced. He wanted to promise her the world, to take away every fear. But all he said was, "Then let me be the reason your story is different." Her breath caught. For the first time, she allowed a small, tearful smile. And in that moment, under the dim streetlight, something fragile but beautiful was born between them, a love too pure to hide. But love stories are never simple. Unknown to Aaliyah, Rayyan was hiding a truth so big, it could either bring them closer, or tear them apart. Rayyan walked through the grand glass doors of his family's house, a stark contrast to the narrow streets of Aaliyah's world. The marble floor shone like water, crystal chandeliers sparkled above, and expensive paintings lined the walls. This was not just a house. It was a mansion. His family name carried weight in Lahore's business world. His father, Mr. Kamal Hussain, was a well-known industrialist, feared and respected alike. His mother, Begum Sahar, held a reputation for class and pride, ensuring the family's social image was spotless. But Rayyan was different. He hated being defined by wealth. He longed for simplicity, for genuine connections. And that's why Aaliyah had touched him so deeply. She had seen him not as a Hussein, but just as a man in need. As he entered the lounge, his mother's sharp voice greeted him. "Rayyan, where have you been? Do you realize how many business meetings you've skipped this week?" Rayyan sighed, loosening his tie. "Ami, I needed some time for myself." His father's stern voice followed. "You're the only heir to this empire, Rayyan. You don't get the luxury of wasting time. We built this empire for you." Rayyan clenched his fists but remained silent. His father's words always carried the weight of command. After dinner, he slipped away to his room. The large, lavish space felt empty, despite being filled with everything money could buy. He pulled out the book he had bought from Aaliyah's shop. His fingers traced her handwriting on the bill, her neat, careful script. A smile tugged at his lips. For the first time in years, his heart felt alive. Meanwhile, Aaliyah's life continued with its daily struggles. She hadn't yet told her mother about Rayyan. How could she? Her mother worried about even small things. The idea of her daughter falling for someone would be too heavy for her fragile health. Still, Aaliyah found herself thinking about him more and more. She remembered his words in the rain, his gentle insistence, his eyes that seemed to carry promises he hadn't yet spoken aloud. But then, her practical side always whispered, "What if he belongs to a world far beyond yours? What if he leaves?" One evening, Rayyan insisted on walking her home again. Hassan tagged along, holding Aaliyah's hand and looking curiously at the tall man beside his sister. "API, is he your friend?" Hassan asked innocently. Aaliyah blushed, glaring at Rayyan, who smiled mischievously. "Yes, Hassan," Rayyan replied warmly. "Your sister is my closest friend." Hassan grinned. "Good. Then you can buy me ice cream tomorrow." They all laughed, but inside, Aaliyah's heart softened at how easily Rayyan blended into her little world. Back at the mansion, however, storm clouds were brewing. One night, as Rayyan entered the study, his father looked up from his leather chair. "I hear you've been spending time in Anarkali Bazaar." Rayyan stiffened. "So what if I have?" Kamal's voice was cold. "That area isn't for people like us. I won't have my son ruining the family name over some ordinary girl." Rayyan's jaw tightened. His silence was his only weapon. His father continued, "Listen to me carefully. We've already chosen someone for you. Business comes before emotions. You will not disappoint us." Rayyan's chest burned with anger. He stormed out, fists clenched, his mind only repeating one name. Aaliyah. He knew now, more than ever, he couldn't lose her. But how would she react if she learned the truth? That he wasn't a struggling man, but the son of one of the city's richest families? Would she see him differently? Would she still believe in his words? That night, Aliyah received a call. It was Rayyan. His voice was unusually heavy. "Aliyah, can I ask you something?" "Yes," she replied softly. "If you found out someone you trusted wasn't exactly who you thought he was, would you hate him?" Aliyah frowned, confused. "I don't understand." "Just answer me," he whispered. She paused. "If his intentions were pure, I wouldn't hate him. But if he lied, it would break my heart." Rayyan closed his eyes, guilt washing over him. He wasn't lying to her, but he wasn't telling her the truth either. And he knew, soon, the truth would come crashing down between them. Days rolled into weeks, and with every passing moment, Aliyah and Rayyan's bond grew stronger. Their meetings were still simple, walking under the shade of trees on Mall Road, sipping chai from roadside stalls, or sitting on a bench near the canal, sharing stories of their childhoods. For Aliyah, it felt like breathing fresh air after years of suffocation. Rayyan made her laugh, made her feel seen, and most importantly, he never made her feel less. But what she didn't see was the other side of his world. Rayyan's world at home was very different. In the Hussein mansion, things were about image, reputation, and wealth. His mother, Begum Sahar, often hosted tea parties where women in designer saris discussed business mergers more than family matters. His father lived with files and phone calls, his voice always commanding, his words heavy with pride. At one such dinner, Begum Sahar brought up the topic of Rayyan's future. "Rayyan, you're 26 now. It's time you settled down. Your father and I have been speaking with Mr. Zuffar's family. Their daughter, Sarah, is well-educated, cultured, and comes from a family of equal status." Rayyan's fork froze midway. "Ami, I'm not interested." His father's voice thundered. "You don't get to be interested or not interested. This is about the family legacy." Rayyan's eyes hardened, but he remained silent. His heart was elsewhere, with someone who didn't even know his truth yet. Meanwhile, in Aliyah's world, life was moving at a different pace. One evening, she returned home with Rayyan after a long walk. Hassan was waiting with his books spread out on the floor. "API, can you help me with my math?" Before Aliyah could reply, Rayyan sat beside Hassan, rolling up his sleeves. "Let me try. Math was my favorite subject." Within minutes, the two were laughing over equations. Aliyah stood at the doorway, her heart softening at the sight. Rayyan didn't just enter her life, he blended into her little family as if he belonged there. Later, as she poured tea for him, she whispered, "You're too good with Hassan. He'll get attached to you." Rayyan looked at her quietly. "And you? Will you?" Her cheeks warmed. She turned away, pretending to focus on the teacups. "Don't ask silly questions." But her silence said more than words ever could. That night, as Rayyan dropped her at her gate, Aliyah finally asked, "Rayyan, what about your family? What do they do? Where do you live?" His heart skipped. For weeks, he had avoided this question. Now it was staring him in the face. He forced a smile. "They're into business. A little strict, that's all." She tilted her head, sensing he was hiding something. But she didn't press further. The next day, destiny revealed what Rayyan was trying so hard to hide. Aliyah was walking home from the market with Hassan when a sleek black car slowed down beside them. The driver lowered the window. Inside sat Rayyan, wearing a crisp suit, looking nothing like the simple man she thought he was. Her steps faltered. "Rayyan, this car?" Before he could answer, Hassan exclaimed, "Wow, API. He's so rich." Aliyah's heart sank. Questions filled her mind, but words refused to leave her lips. Rayyan quickly got out of the car, walking toward her. His voice was urgent, almost pleading. "Aliyah, I can explain. Please don't misunderstand." She stared at him, her chest tight. "Why didn't you tell me before?" His silence was answer enough. And for the first time since meeting him, Aliyah turned and walked away, her dupatta fluttering in the evening wind. Rayyan stood frozen, his heart shattering at the sight of her leaving. Two worlds had just collided, and love was about to be tested. The evening air was heavy as Aliyah walked briskly, Hassan tugging at her hand, while Rayyan's desperate footsteps followed behind. "Aliyah, stop. Please, just listen to me." She didn't turn back. Her heart was pounding too loud, her mind spinning with confusion. He was rich. All this time. Then why did he let me believe otherwise? Finally, she stopped near her gate, her eyes brimming with tears. She turned to face him. "Rayyan, who are you really?" He froze. The question he had dreaded for weeks was now burning in her eyes. "I'm still the same man you met on the bus," he whispered. "No," she snapped, her voice trembling. "That man didn't have money for bus fare. That man walked with me under the rain like an ordinary person. That man wasn't the son of some rich business family, arriving in cars that cost more than my entire life." Rayyan's chest tightened. "Aliyah, yes, I come from wealth. But I didn't lie to you. I just didn't tell you because I didn't want you to see me as one of them. I wanted you to see me." Her eyes filled with pain. "Do you realize what it feels like? To trust someone completely, only to realize you never knew who they were." "Aliyah, please." She cut him off, her voice breaking. "You should have told me the truth. Hiding it is the same as lying." Hassan's small voice interrupted, tugging at her sleeve. "API, don't cry." Rayyan's heart shattered at the sight. He stepped forward, wanting to comfort her, but she stepped back. "Please leave, Rayyan. Don't make this harder." His lips parted, but no words came. Slowly, he turned and walked away, each step heavier than the last. That night, Aliyah sat by her mother's bedside. Her mother noticed the redness in her eyes. "Beta, did something happen?" Aliyah forced a smile. "No, Ami. Just tired." But deep inside, her soul was breaking. She remembered his laughter, his sincerity, his warmth, and now, his silence. Was it all a lie? Or was it love trapped in a truth too big to handle? Meanwhile, in Rayyan's mansion, the storm inside him was worse. His father noticed his gloom at dinner. "You look restless, Rayyan. Is it about that girl?" Rayyan's eyes narrowed. "Don't talk about her like that." Kamal slammed his glass on the table. "I will not allow you to throw away everything for someone who doesn't belong in our world." Rayyan's voice rose, breaking years of restraint. "She belongs to my world. The world I choose, not the one you built with money and pride." The room fell silent. His mother gasped softly. His father's face turned red with rage. "Enough," Kamal thundered. "If you continue this madness, you will lose everything, your inheritance, your position, your family name." Rayyan's fists clenched, his eyes burning. "Then so be it. I'd rather lose all of this than lose her." He stormed out, his heart set on only one thing, winning Aliyah back. The next day, Aliyah went to the bookstore, her eyes tired but determined to bury her pain in work. But as she turned the key to open the shop, she found Rayyan waiting at the door. Her chest tightened. "Why are you here?" His voice was raw, desperate. "Because I can't let one misunderstanding end us. Aliyah, my feelings are real. My love is real. Please, give me one chance to prove it." Tears welled in her eyes. She wanted to believe him. But her fear was louder. "Rayyan, people like us don't belong together. Your family will never accept me. And I can't live a life where I'll always feel like I don't fit in." Her words cut through him like glass. He reached out, but she stepped back again. And for the first time, Rayyan realized, love alone might not be enough. The walls of wealth and class were already rising between them, and neither knew how to break them down. The morning air was crisp, but Aliyah's heart felt heavy. She tried to lose herself in the bookstore's quiet rhythm, stacking novels, noting sales, helping customers, but every corner reminded her of him. His laughter, his voice, his presence still lingered like perfume in the air. Yet she forced herself to be cold. This is for the best, she told herself. People like him never stay. But Rayyan, he wasn't ready to let go. Rayyan's determination. That evening, as Aaliyah stepped out of the shop, she found him waiting again. His usual confidence was replaced with raw sincerity. "Aaliyah, just 5 minutes. Please." She sighed, looking away. "Rayyan, I've already said." "I know what you've said," he interrupted gently. "But hear me once more. You think wealth separates us. You think my family matters more to me than you. But you're wrong. If I had to choose between the empire my father built and the world I found with you, I would choose you every single time." Her throat tightened. She wanted to believe him, but fear still clouded her. Rayyan stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Tell me honestly, Aaliyah, don't you feel what I feel? Don't you think our souls already know each other?" Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. For a moment, she wanted to confess, to fall into his arms. But instead, she whispered, "Feelings aren't enough to feed a family or heal a sick mother. Dreams can't pay bills, Rayyan." His heart broke at her words. But instead of retreating, he grew more determined. The small gestures. Over the next few days, Rayyan found little ways to be part of her life. He'd quietly leave fresh groceries at her doorstep. Hassan often found chocolates and new pencils in his school bag. At the bookstore, Rayyan helped arrange heavy boxes without being asked. One evening, as Aaliyah locked the shop, she noticed Rayyan standing nearby, holding 2 cups of chai. "Just tea," he said softly. "No expectations. Just, let me sit with you for a while." She hesitated, then sighed, taking the cup. They sat on a bench under the fading sky. For a while, neither spoke. Finally, Rayyan broke the silence. "Do you know why I come back every day?" She glanced at him, her voice weak. "Because you're stubborn." He smiled faintly. "Because every day without you feels like I'm half alive. And I can't live like that." Her heart ached. She looked away, blinking back tears. Meanwhile, the storm at home. Back at the Hussein mansion, tension grew worse. Kamal confronted his son again. "Enough, Rayyan. You're humiliating this family by chasing that girl. People are talking already." Rayyan's fists tightened. "Let them talk. I don't care." His mother's voice trembled with worry. "Rayyan, beta, you don't understand. That girl will never be accepted. Even if you love her, society will make her suffer." Rayyan's jaw hardened. "Then I'll protect her. From society, from everyone. Even from you, if I must." The room fell silent. For the first time, his parents realized their son wasn't just being stubborn. He was in love. The moment of weakness. That night, Aaliyah sat with her mother, who coughed weakly as she sipped warm milk. "Ami," Aaliyah whispered, "what if someone loves you truly, but his world is too different from yours?" Her mother's tired eyes softened. "Beta, love is never about easy paths. But if it is true, it finds its way. The question is, are you brave enough to walk it?" Aliyah's heart twisted. She thought of Rayyan's eyes, his words, his persistence. Maybe he was brave. Maybe she was the one afraid. The next day, as she stepped out of the shop, she found Rayyan waiting again. But this time, he didn't speak. He simply held out a folded note. Confused, she opened it. The words inside made her breath catch. "I will wait. No matter how long. Even if you never choose me, I'll still be here. Because my heart already has." Her hands trembled as she held the paper. Her eyes searched for him, but Rayyan had already walked away, leaving her with a silence louder than words. For the first time, Aliyah felt the war inside her heart tilt. But little did she know, fate was preparing a test far greater than love itself. The city was alive with the usual noise, buses honking, shopkeepers shouting, children laughing, but for Aaliyah, life felt strangely heavy. Rayanne's note still lingered in her bag, its words echoing in her mind. I will wait. No matter how long. It both comforted and scared her. Could she allow herself to dream of a life with him? Or would it all collapse under the weight of reality? The unseen struggle. Aaliyah's mother's health had been deteriorating quietly. Her cough had grown harsher, her steps weaker. One night, as Aaliyah tucked her in, she noticed her mother struggling to breathe. Panic spread through her veins. Ami! Hassan, call the doctor, quick! The doctor came and, after examining, shook his head gravely. She needs proper treatment immediately. In the city hospital. But it will be expensive. The words stabbed at Aaliyah. She had barely enough to keep their lives running. Medicine and hospital bills were beyond imagination. That night, as she sat by her mother's bed, tears streamed silently. Hassan curled beside her, whispering, API. Ami will be okay, right? She kissed his forehead, forcing a smile. Yes, inshallah. She'll be fine. But her heart trembled. Rayanne's presence. The next morning, as Aaliyah stood outside the pharmacy with the prescription, her eyes widened when a familiar voice spoke. Let me help. Rayanne. He stood there, concern etched on his face. She quickly hid the paper behind her back. No, Rayanne. This is my problem. He sighed, stepping closer. Aaliyah, when will you understand? Your problems are my problems. Please don't push me away. Her lips quivered. Do you know what it feels like to constantly depend on others? To live life counting every coin? I can't. I can't let you pity me. His voice broke, his eyes fierce. Pity? Is that what you think this is? Aaliyah, I don't pity you. I love you. And love means standing beside you, no matter how dark it gets. Her chest tightened, but before she could reply, her phone rang, Hassan's terrified voice on the other end. API. Ami fainted. The world spun around her. The hospital night. Hours later, Aaliyah sat in the hospital corridor, her dupatta damp from tears. Doctors moved in and out, their words sharp and heavy. Tests, oxygen, treatment plan. Rayanne stayed beside her, not moving an inch. Sometimes he brought her water, sometimes he just sat in silence, but he never left. Finally, the doctor returned. She needs to be admitted for a longer treatment. Prepare the funds as soon as possible. Aaliyah's heart sank. She had none. Her eyes blurred as she whispered, How will I? Before she could finish, Rayanne stepped forward. Don't worry about the money, doctor. I'll handle it. Aaliyah spun toward him, her voice sharp with hurt. No. I told you, I won't take your money. Aaliyah. I said no. Her voice broke into sobs. If I let you pay today, tomorrow I'll feel like I owe you everything. I'll lose myself. Don't you see? Her cries echoed in the hallway, and Rayanne's chest tightened painfully. He wanted to hold her, to tell her she didn't owe him anything, that she was his everything, but the wall of her pride stood strong. The breaking point. Hours later, Aaliyah sat alone by the hospital bed, holding her mother's hand. Her heart whispered that maybe she had been too harsh with Rayanne. Maybe this wasn't about pride, it was about survival. And yet, when she closed her eyes, she saw Rayanne's face, his pain, his persistence. Meanwhile, outside the hospital, Rayanne leaned against the wall, his hands trembling. For the first time, he felt helpless. He had all the wealth in the world, but none of it mattered if she wouldn't let him in. Looking up at the night sky, he whispered, Ya Allah, give me the strength to prove my love to her, even if it breaks me. As dawn approached, Aaliyah stepped out into the corridor to find Rayanne still there, tired, disheveled, but refusing to leave. Her eyes softened for a moment. But before she could speak, she noticed a figure walking toward them. It was Kamal Hussein, Rayanne's father. His voice sliced through the silence. So this is the girl you're ruining our family name for? Aliyah froze. Rayyan's face hardened. The war between love and society had just begun. The hospital corridor grew tense as Kamal Hussein's voice echoed, his presence commanding and cold. "So, this is the girl," he sneered, his sharp eyes scanning Aliyah from head to toe. "The one who made my son forget his family, his values, his legacy?" Aliyah's face flushed with embarrassment. She lowered her gaze, her fingers clutching the edge of her dupatta. She had never felt so small, standing in a simple shalwar kameez, her slippers worn out, under the piercing gaze of a man draped in an expensive suit. Rayyan stepped forward, anger flashing in his eyes. "Abu, enough. Don't you dare talk to her like that." But Kamal ignored him, his voice dripping with disdain. "Girls like her see an opportunity and trap rich men with sob stories. Look at her, Rayyan. Do you really think she belongs in our world?" Aliyah's chest tightened, each word striking like a dagger. Tears pricked her eyes, but she refused to cry before him. Rayyan's voice trembled with fury. "She is not like that. Aliyah is more honest, more pure than anyone I've ever known. And if you can't see that, then maybe you've lost the right to call yourself my father." Gasps rippled through the corridor. Even Aliyah looked at Rayyan, shocked by the weight of his words. Kamal's face turned crimson. "You ungrateful boy. Everything you have is because of me. And you would throw it away for her." "Yes," Rayyan said firmly, his voice steady. "For her, I'd throw it all away without regret." Aliyah's breaking silence. Finally, Aliyah found her voice, though it trembled. "Please stop." Both men turned toward her. She took a shaky breath. "Mr. Hussein, I never asked your son for money, or status, or a place in your world. I know where I belong. And I also know, your world is not mine." Her words were like ice water on Rayyan's heart. "Aliyah." She shook her head, her eyes glistening. "Rayyan, your father is right. People like me and people like you, we live in different skies. Even if we hold hands, society will never let us walk together." Rayyan stepped closer, desperation in his voice. "Aliyah, don't say that. Don't let him poison your heart." Her tears finally spilled. "Rayyan, I'm already drowning between my mother's illness, my brother's future. I can't carry the weight of fighting your entire world too." Kamal smirked, as if he had won. "There. You see, Rayyan? She knows her place." But his victory was short-lived, because Rayyan turned on him, his voice raw with defiance. "No, Abu. She knows her pain. And it is because of people like you that she feels she doesn't belong. But I swear, I will fight for her. Even if I lose everything, I will fight." The silent goodbye. Aliyah felt her heart split into two. She wanted to believe him, to hold on to him, but she also felt the crushing weight of reality pressing down. She whispered, barely audible, "Rayyan, please don't make this harder. Just go." Her words sliced him open. He searched her face, looking for hope, for love, for anything that told him she still wanted him. And he saw it, in her trembling lips, her tearful eyes. But her fear was stronger than her love. Slowly, Rayyan stepped back, his heart heavy as lead. He turned and walked away, leaving Aliyah standing with her mother's hospital file clutched in her hands, tears streaming silently. Kamal followed his son, his expression stern, but inside, unease flickered. For the first time, he had seen a strength in Rayyan's eyes that money couldn't buy. That night, Aliyah sat by her mother's bed, her face pale. Hassan slept beside her, unaware of the storm raging in his sister's heart. She held Rayyan's note in her hand, the ink smudged from her tears. "I will wait, no matter how long." Her lips trembled as she whispered into the darkness. "But how long can love wait, against the whole world?" The room fell silent, but her heart echoed with the fear of losing the only man who had ever loved her so deeply. And outside, Rayyan made a vow, no matter how broken, no matter how hopeless, he would never let her go. The days after the hospital confrontation felt like a storm had passed, but left behind broken pieces. Aliyah kept her focus on her mother's treatment, avoiding every thought of Rayyan. Yet deep inside, her heart longed for him with every beat. Rayyan, however, was relentless. He couldn't sleep, couldn't breathe without her face haunting him. He kept trying, sending flowers, waiting outside the bookstore, even slipping notes under her door. But Aliyah stayed distant. She wasn't pushing him away because she didn't love him. She was pushing him away because she loved him too much to ruin his life. Kamal's plan. Meanwhile, in the Hussein mansion, Kamal was plotting. The humiliation at the hospital had bruised his ego. He couldn't allow his only son to throw away their legacy for a bookstore girl. One evening at dinner, he told his wife Sahar, "We must end this foolishness. If Rayyan won't leave her, we'll make sure she leaves him." Sahar's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" Kamal's lips curled into a cold smile. "Aliyah is poor, vulnerable. It won't take much to make her feel small, unworthy. We'll crush her spirit until she walks away herself." Sahar hesitated. Somewhere deep down, she admired Aliyah's quiet dignity. But Kamal's words carried the weight of command. Rayyan's persistence. One evening, Aliyah closed the bookstore and found Rayyan waiting. His face was tired, his shirt creased, but his eyes held the same fire. "Aliyah," he said softly, "I know you're angry, I know you're scared. But I can't stop loving you. I don't know how." She sighed, clutching the keys in her hand. "Rayyan, your father hates me. He will never accept us. And I can't live my life fighting against your family." Rayyan stepped closer, his voice trembling. "Then fight with me, not against me. I'll handle my father, my family, everything. Just don't shut me out." Her eyes shimmered with tears. "Rayyan, love isn't enough." He reached out, gently touching her hand. "It is enough. It has to be." For a brief moment, her heart almost gave in. But then Hassan's voice called from inside the house, and reality crashed back. She pulled her hand away, whispering, "Please, don't come again." Rayyan's heart shattered at her words, but he knew he couldn't stop. The scheme unfolds. A few days later, Aliyah received an unexpected visitor at the bookstore, a well-dressed woman with sharp eyes and a faint smile. "Assalamu alaikum, Aliyah," the woman said smoothly. "I'm Sahar Hussein, Rayyan's mother." Aliyah froze, her heart racing. She quickly gestured to a chair. "Please sit." Sahar sat gracefully, looking around the small shop, her expression unreadable. "You are a beautiful girl, Aliyah. And I can see why Rayyan is so taken with you. But," her tone shifted, sharper, "do you really believe you can survive in our world? A world of business dinners, luxury parties, social expectations? They will laugh at you, humiliate you. And worse, they will humiliate Rayyan." Aliyah's throat went dry. She whispered, "I never asked him to love me." Sahar leaned forward. "Then do the right thing. Let him go. If you truly care about him, you won't drag him down." Her words pierced deep. And when she left, the silence of the bookstore felt suffocating. The cracking heart. That night, Aliyah sat awake, her mother sleeping beside her, Hassan curled up at her feet. She clutched Rayyan's note again, tears streaming silently. "Am I selfish, to hold on to him? Or cruel, to let him go?" she whispered into the darkness. Meanwhile, across the city, Rayyan sat in his car outside her street, staring at her lit window, whispering to himself, "Please, Aliyah, don't give up on us. Don't give up on me." Both hearts were breaking for the same love, yet the walls between them grew taller each day. And fate wasn't done testing them yet. To be continued. The bookstore felt different after Sahar Hussein's visit. The shelves, once comforting, now seemed to echo with her words. "If you truly care about him, let him go." Aliyah tried to drown herself in work, but the thought gnawed at her. Was she selfish for holding on to Rayyan? Was her love destined to ruin him? The silent struggle. That evening, She sat by her mother's side. Her mother stirred awake, noticing the redness in her daughter's eyes. "Beta, what's wrong?" she asked softly. Aliyah forced a smile. "Nothing, Ami. Just tired." But her mother wasn't convinced. She held Aliyah's hand. "You think I don't see? You've been carrying a storm inside you. Tell me, Aliyah, is it about Rayyan?" Tears welled up in her eyes. She nodded weakly. Her mother sighed. "Beta, love is a blessing, but it's also a test. Sometimes, we have to choose not for ourselves, but for those we love." Those words sealed something inside Aliyah's heart. She knew what she had to do, even if it meant breaking her own soul. The painful decision. The next day, Aliyah called Rayyan to the bookstore. His face lit up when he arrived, hope shining in his eyes. "Aliyah, I knew you'd call. I knew you couldn't stay away." She looked at him with trembling lips, fighting the urge to collapse into his arms. Instead, she forced her voice to stay cold. "Rayyan, this has to end." The smile on his face vanished. "What are you saying?" She swallowed hard, her heart bleeding. "You belong to a world of wealth and power. I belong to survival. We can't fight fate, Rayyan. We'll only hurt each other more." "No," his voice cracked. "Don't do this. Don't push me away because of my family. I'll leave them if I have to. I'll walk away from everything." Her tears spilled, but she shook her head firmly. "And then what? You'll resent me forever. Your father was right. I don't belong in your world. And I won't be the reason you lose everything." Rayyan grabbed her hands, his eyes desperate. "Aliyah, listen to me. You're not hearing my heart. I don't want their world, I want you. Only you." She pulled her hands away, sobbing. "Rayyan, please, don't make this harder. End this before it destroys us both." And before he could stop her, she turned and ran into the back of the shop, leaving him standing there, broken. Rayyan's collapse. That night, Rayyan drove aimlessly through the city streets. His chest felt hollow, his eyes burning. For the first time, he questioned everything: love, family, even himself. He pulled over near the same bus stop where he had first met Aliyah. Sitting on the bench, he buried his face in his hands. "I lost her, and it's my fault," he whispered into the night. The memory of her giving him bus fare that day came rushing back, her kindness, her smile, the innocence in her eyes. And now, it was all slipping away. Aliyah's silent tears. Meanwhile, in her small room, Aliyah cried silently into her pillow. Hassan slept peacefully beside her, unaware of the storm tearing his sister apart. She clutched Rayyan's note once again, pressing it against her heart. "I love you, Rayyan," she whispered through her tears. "But sometimes, love means letting go." The night was heavy with sorrow. Two hearts, still beating for each other, but now forced apart by sacrifice. And destiny was about to twist their lives in ways neither of them could imagine. Days turned into weeks. The bookstore felt colder, emptier. For Aliyah, life slipped back into its quiet routine, waking early, helping Hassan with school, caring for her mother, running the shop. But every moment carried an absence, a silence shaped like Rayyan. She avoided the places where they once laughed together. She stopped walking the roads where his car might pass. And every time Hassan asked, "API, where's Rayyan by?" her heart broke a little more. "Busy with work," she'd whisper, forcing a smile. But the truth was, Rayyan wasn't busy. He was broken. Rayyan's darkness. Since that day in the bookstore, Rayyan had shut himself away. He stopped attending family dinners, skipped business meetings, ignored calls from friends. His once vibrant eyes now carried only shadows. His mother found him one night in his room, staring at Aliyah's note he had written, the one she still held close. "Beta," she said softly, sitting beside him, "is she worth all this pain?" Rayyan looked at her with a hollow smile. "Ami, she's not worth the pain. She's worth everything. The pain, the loss, the fight. All of it." For the first time, Sahar saw the depth of her son's love, and a quiet unease stirred in her heart. Perhaps Kamal's cruelty was tearing her son apart more than the girl ever could. Fate's interference. One rainy evening, Aliyah was rushing home with groceries when the sky opened, drenching her. Hassan ran ahead, laughing, his small feet splashing in puddles. "API, hurry!" he shouted. Just then, a car slowed beside them. The window rolled down. Rayyan. His eyes met hers through the rain, and for a moment, the world froze. Her heart leapt into her throat. She wanted to run, to hide, but she couldn't move. Rayyan stepped out, rain soaking his shirt, his hair plastered to his forehead. Without a word, he opened an umbrella over her and Hassan. "You'll catch a cold," he said softly, his voice almost breaking. Aliyah clenched her jaw, refusing to meet his eyes. "Rayyan, why are you here?" His answer was simple, raw. "Because I can't stay away." Hassan beamed, hugging Rayyan's leg. "I missed you, bye." The innocence of the boy's smile broke Aliyah's defenses for a moment. She looked up at Rayyan, and in his eyes, she saw the same unspoken love, the love she was trying so hard to bury. But before the silence could turn into words, she whispered, "Please, Rayyan, don't make this harder." And she walked away in the rain, leaving him standing with the umbrella trembling in his hand. Kamal's new move. That night, Kamal called Rayyan into his study. His tone was sharp, final. "Rayyan, I have tolerated your madness long enough. I've fixed your engagement with Sarah. The announcement will be made next week." Rayyan's blood ran cold. "What? You heard me," Kamal said firmly. "This foolish obsession with that girl ends now." Rayyan's fists tightened, his voice low but dangerous. "You can control business deals, Abu. But you cannot control my heart." Kamal's eyes narrowed. "Then I will do what you failed to do. I'll ensure she leaves you forever. Permanently." Rayyan's heart thundered. His father's words weren't a threat, they were a promise. The quiet before the storm. Meanwhile, Aliyah sat by her mother that night, wiping her forehead gently. She whispered to herself, "I've done the right thing. I've let him go." But as she glanced at Hassan sleeping peacefully, she didn't see the storm already gathering. Because love wasn't done with her. And neither was fate. The distance between her and Rayyan was about to be shattered, not by love this time, but by danger. The air in the city felt heavier that week, though Aliyah didn't know why. She tried to convince herself she had done the right thing by walking away from Rayyan. Yet, deep inside, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change, something dark. Rayyan's defiance. At the mansion, Rayyan stood in front of his father once more. "I won't marry Sarah," he said firmly. Kamal's eyes hardened. "You will. This alliance is bigger than your childish heart. If you refuse, you'll lose everything." Rayyan's voice cracked but didn't waver. "Then take everything. I don't care. But if you try to hurt Aliyah, Abu, I swear, you'll lose me too." Kamal's lips curled in anger. "You think love makes you strong? No, Rayyan, it makes you weak. And weakness is something I will never allow in this family." He turned away, dismissing his son, but his words carried a shadow. "If she doesn't leave you on her own, I'll make sure she's forced to." Aliyah's unease. Meanwhile, Aliyah noticed small, unsettling changes. Strange men loitering near the bookstore, eyes following her when she closed shop at night. Once, she thought she saw a black car parked outside her street, headlights off, just watching. Her stomach twisted with unease, but she pushed it aside. "I'm imagining things. I just need to focus on Ami and Hassan." But fate was already setting its stage. The phone call. One late evening, as she was locking the bookstore, her phone buzzed with an unknown number. She answered hesitantly. "Aliyah," a cold voice said, "stay away from Rayyan Ahmed. If you care about your brother, if you care about your mother's life, end all ties with him. Or you'll regret it." Her blood ran cold. "Who is this? What do you want?" The line went dead. Her hands shook, the phone slipping slightly from her grip. She looked around the dark street, her heart racing. No one. Just silence. Rayyan's discovery. That same night, Rayyan got a call from one of his old college friends, who now worked in his father's security team. Rayyan, I shouldn't be telling you this, but your father gave orders. He's keeping men near that girl. To scare her. To force her away. Rayyan's blood boiled. He wouldn't dare. But deep inside, he knew Kamal Ahmed was capable of anything. Without wasting a second, Rayyan grabbed his car keys and sped through the city streets, his heart thundering. The collision of worlds. He found Aliyah outside her home, standing pale and shaken after the threatening call. The moment she saw him, tears filled her eyes. Rayyan, she whispered. He rushed to her. Did someone call you? Did they threaten you? Her silence was enough. He clenched his fists, rage trembling through him. It's my father. He's behind this. I'll make him stop. Rayyan, please, she cried, her voice breaking. Don't fight him because of me. I can't let Hassan or Ami suffer because of us. If anything happens to them, I'll never forgive myself. He cupped her face, his own eyes wet. And if I lose you, Aliyah, I'll never forgive myself. For a moment, their love burned brighter than fear. But the shadow of power loomed too large. Somewhere in the darkness, a man sat inside a black car, reporting quietly into his phone. Yes, sir. They're still meeting. The storm approaches. That night, as Rayyan held Aliyah close, both trembling with fear and longing, neither realized how far Kamal was willing to go. Because for the first time, love was no longer the only battle. They were fighting survival itself. And soon, one choice would change their lives forever. The next morning, life seemed deceptively normal. Aliyah packed Hassan's school bag, kissed his forehead, and sent him off with a neighbor's boy. But her heart was uneasy, still haunted by last night's call. She tried to shake it off, busying herself at the bookstore. Yet every sound, every shadow outside the glass door made her flinch. Rayyan's desperation. Rayyan hadn't slept. He had spent the night outside Aliyah's street in his car, determined to keep her safe. When she spotted him in the morning, standing by his car, she frowned. Rayyan, you can't do this every day. You'll bring more trouble. He shook his head, his eyes fierce. I don't care. Aliyah, I'll fight the world for you. You think I'll let my father scare you away? Never. Her lips trembled. But how long can we fight against someone like him? He'll destroy us. Rayyan stepped closer, lowering his voice. Then let him try. Because if he hurts you, he loses me forever. The intensity in his words pierced through her defenses. For a moment, she almost believed love was stronger than fear. Almost. The storm breaks. That afternoon, Aliyah rushed home after closing the bookstore early. She entered the street and froze. Her neighbors were gathered, whispering in panic. Her eyes darted, and then she saw it, Hassan's school bag lying in the middle of the road, torn at the strap. Her blood turned to ice. Hassan, where's my brother? She screamed. A neighbor woman rushed to her. Beta, calm down. A car came fast. Your brother. He's at the hospital now. Aliyah's world spun. The ground beneath her felt like it was slipping away. She barely heard anything else. Only Hassan's name echoed in her ears. The hospital. Rayyan arrived minutes later, breathless. He found Aliyah in the corridor, her face white as chalk, her hands trembling. She looked up at him with eyes that carried oceans of pain. Rayyan, they hit Hassan. My little brother, he's inside, and I don't know if he'll. Her voice broke before she could finish. Rayyan wrapped his arms around her as she sobbed. His own eyes burned, but his voice was steady. He'll be fine, Aliyah. I promise. Nothing will happen to him. A doctor emerged from the emergency room, his expression tense. The boy was hit badly, but we're trying our best. Prepare yourself. It may be critical. The words shattered Aliyah. She collapsed into Rayyan's chest, sobbing uncontrollably. He held her tighter, his jaw clenched with rage. This wasn't an accident. This was a warning. Rayyan's vow. Later, as Hassan lay unconscious in the hospital bed, Aliyah sat by his side, holding his tiny hand. She whispered broken prayers under her breath. Rayyan stood behind her, his fists trembling. He knew his father's shadow was behind this. Quietly, he placed a hand on Aliyah's shoulder. She looked up at him, her face streaked with tears. Rayyan, she whispered. This is what I feared. Our love is hurting the people I care about. He knelt beside her, looking into her eyes. No, Aliyah. Our love isn't hurting them. My father is. And I swear on everything, I'll end this war. For you. For Hassan. For us. His voice was sharp, filled with fire. No more warnings. If he wants a battle, he'll get one. The shadow of power. Meanwhile, in the Ahmed mansion, Kamal listened as his man reported. The boy survived, sir. He's in the hospital. Kamal's jaw tightened. Then next time, make sure the message is stronger. She must understand. My son will not ruin himself for her. But Kamal didn't know, his son was already preparing to fight back. And this time, Rayyan wasn't planning to lose. Because love, when pushed to the edge, becomes unstoppable. The hospital lights flickered softly, machines beeping around Hassan's fragile body. Aliyah sat by his side, her lips whispering prayers, her eyes swollen from tears. Rayyan stood by the doorway, watching her. His chest burned with guilt, love, and fury. Hassan didn't deserve this. Aliyah didn't deserve this. And deep down, Rayyan knew exactly who was responsible. Rayyan's rage. That night, he stormed into the Ahmed mansion, drenched in anger. His father, Kamal, sat calmly in the study, sipping tea as if nothing had happened. Rayyan slammed the door open. How could you? Kamal didn't even flinch. Lower your voice. No. Rayyan roared. You had her followed, you threatened her, and now her brother is lying in a hospital bed because of you. Kamal's eyes turned cold. Watch your words. I don't waste my time on street accidents. Rayyan's fists clenched. Don't you dare lie to me. I know it was your men. You wanted to scare her away. You wanted to teach her a lesson. But listen to me, Abu. If Hassan doesn't survive, you'll lose me forever. Kamal's jaw tightened. You're blinded by this girl. You've forgotten who you are. Rayyan's voice cracked, raw with pain. No, Abu. For the first time in my life, I remember exactly who I am. I'm not your puppet. I'm not a deal to be traded. I'm a man, and I love her. The mother's plea. Sahar, standing at the doorway, her hands trembling, tried to step in. Rayyan, please, calm down. Both of you. But Rayyan's voice was fire. Ami, how can I calm down when the woman I love is suffering, when her little brother is fighting for his life, because of him? He pointed at Kamal, eyes burning. Kamal rose, his voice sharp as a blade. Enough. If you walk out of this house now, Rayyan, don't come back. You'll have nothing, no family, no inheritance, no name. Rayyan's chest heaved. His mother's eyes filled with tears. He looked at his father one last time. If that's the price of love, then so be it. And without another word, he turned and walked out. Aliyah's battle of hearts. Back at the hospital, Aliyah continued praying by Hassan's bedside. When Rayyan returned, she looked up at him, her eyes hollow. Rayyan, why are you doing this? Don't you see? Your father will never let us live in peace. He'll destroy everything. Rayyan knelt before her, his hands holding hers tightly. Let him try. I've walked away from his world. I don't need his money, his power, his name. All I need is you. Her heart ached hearing his words. She wanted to believe him, to let herself collapse into his arms and forget everything. But fear held her back. Rayyan, she whispered. Love isn't enough against people like your father. Rayyan shook his head, his voice trembling. It is. Because my love for you is stronger than his hate. And I'll prove it. Kamal's next step. Back in the mansion, Kamal sat in the dark, his face rigid. His wife tried to plead. Kamal, you'll lose him if you keep pushing like this. But Kamal's voice was cold, merciless. If he wants to destroy himself, let him. But that girl, she will not have him. Even if I have to break her completely. And in that moment, a storm was set into motion, one that would test not only Rayyan and Aliya's love, but their very survival. Because when power fights love, the battlefield is never fair. The hospital corridors smelled of antiseptic, filled with murmurs of patients and the faint beeping of machines. Aliya had barely slept for days, her whole life revolving around Hassan's bedside. His small chest rose and fell weakly, each breath a fragile hope. Rayyan stayed close, refusing to leave despite her protests. His eyes carried dark circles, but his resolve never wavered. Yet in the shadows, Kamal Ahmed's plan was already unfolding. The newspaper headline. One morning, as Aliya walked out to get tea, she froze at the sight of a newspaper stand. Her heart nearly stopped. Splashed across the front page was a photograph, hers. Standing beside Rayyan at the bookstore, smiling. The headline screamed. Poor bookstore girl traps business tycoon's heir, Ahmed family scandal. Her hands trembled as she picked it up, her vision blurring. People around her whispered, some staring, some smirking. She stumbled back to the hospital, clutching the paper like it was poison. The confrontation. Rayyan saw her pale face and rushed to her. Aliya, what happened? Wordlessly, she shoved the newspaper into his hands. His jaw clenched, his eyes turning to fire as he read. This is him, she whispered, her voice breaking. Your father did this. He's dragging my name through the dirt. Do you know what this means for me? For Hassan's future? For Ami's honor? Aliya. No, Rayyan, she cried, stepping back. This isn't just between us anymore. This is destroying my family. My neighbors will gossip, people will shame me, and your father will keep crushing us until I have nothing left. Her tears fell fast, her voice trembling with fear and despair. Do you still not see? We don't belong together. Your love is a fire that's burning my whole world down. Rayyan dropped the paper, his hands gripping her shoulders. Look at me. I will fix this. I don't care what he does, what lies he spreads. I will clear your name. I will protect you. But Aliya shook her head, sobbing. And what if you can't? What if Hassan doesn't survive? What if my mother collapses from shame? Rayyan, I can't let your war destroy the people I love. Kamal's ruthlessness. At that very moment, Kamal sat in his office, a smug smile on his face as he flipped through the newspaper. His assistant entered. Sir, the story has spread everywhere. Social media, business circles, news channels. Everyone is talking. Good, Kamal said coldly. Now she'll see what it means to challenge me. And soon, she'll walk away on her own. But Kamal underestimated one thing, the strength of love when it has nothing left to lose. Aliya's breaking point. That night, after everyone had left, Aliya sat alone by Hassan's bedside. She held his tiny hand, whispering through tears. I tried, Hassan. I tried to keep you safe. But because of me, you're suffering. Because of me, Ami will face shame. Because of me, Rayyan is fighting his own family. Her heart cracked. In that quiet, painful moment, she made a decision. When Rayyan returned later, she wasn't at the hospital. On the chair lay a folded note. With trembling hands, he opened it. Rayyan, I love you more than life itself. But I cannot let my love destroy everything else I hold dear. Don't look for me. Don't fight for me. Forget me. Aliya. Rayyan's hands shook as the paper slipped from his fingers. His chest felt like it was being ripped apart. "Aaliyah!" he whispered into the emptiness, his voice breaking. She was gone. And just like that, the love that once brought them life was now tearing them apart. The hospital corridor was silent when Rayyan stood frozen with Aaliyah's letter trembling in his hands. Her words cut deeper than any blade. "Don't look for me. Don't fight for me. Forget me." But forgetting her was like asking his heart to stop beating. Rayyan's desperate search. For 3 days, Rayyan searched everywhere: her home, the bookstore, the streets where they once walked together. But Aaliyah had vanished like smoke. Neighbors shook their heads. "She left quietly in the night," one old woman whispered. "No one knows where." Rayyan's chest tightened. She wouldn't leave Hassan. She wouldn't leave her mother. Where is she? But no answers came. Aaliyah's hidden pain. Far from the city, in a small rented room on the outskirts, Aaliyah sat by a window, her face pale and tired. Hassan, still recovering, slept beside her. Their mother dozed in a corner. Aaliyah stared at the night sky, clutching Rayyan's note against her heart. "Forgive me, Rayyan," she whispered. "Every part of me wants to run back to you. But if I do, my family will be destroyed. And I can't let that happen." She closed her eyes, tears rolling down her cheeks. Every memory of him, the bus stop, his laughter, his touch, haunted her. Yet she forced herself to remain hidden. Rayyan versus the world. Meanwhile, Rayyan returned to the mansion, furious and broken. He confronted his father. "What did you do?" Rayyan shouted. "Where is she?" Kamal looked unmoved. Perhaps she finally realized her place. Rayyan's voice cracked with rage. "Her place is with me. And I will find her, even if it takes my last breath." Kamal's tone was icy. "And if you do, Rayyan, you'll regret it. I'll make sure she regrets it too." Rayyan's mother, Sahar, placed a trembling hand on his arm. "Please, Beta, calm down. You're tearing yourself apart." But Rayyan shook his head, his eyes blazing. "I'd rather be torn apart than live without her." The unexpected ally. The next evening, as Rayyan sat alone near the bus stop where their story began, his phone buzzed. A message. No name. Just one line. "If you truly love her, don't stop searching. She's closer than you think." Rayyan's heart leapt. He dialed the number, but it was switched off. "Who sent this?" he muttered, hope flickering for the first time in days. Somewhere in the shadows, someone was watching over Aaliyah. Someone who wanted them to find their way back. Aaliyah's struggle. Back in her room, Aaliyah pressed her palm against the glass, staring out at the dark streets. Her heart ached for Rayyan. She could almost feel him searching, calling her name into the night. But she whispered to herself, "Stay strong, Aaliyah. Don't let love blind you." This sacrifice is the only way to protect him from his father's wrath. Yet as Hassan stirred in his sleep, mumbling, "Rayyan bye," in his dreams, her tears spilled again. Because no matter how far she ran, her heart belonged to him. The twist approaches. Rayyan tightened his grip on the anonymous message. His instincts screamed that Aaliyah was still out there, still near. And he vowed, with every drop of strength left in him, "I will find you, Aaliyah. Even if the world stands against me." What he didn't know was that destiny had already set the stage for their reunion, one that would be as painful as it was inevitable. The city was alive with noise, but Rayyan's world was nothing but silence. Each day without Aaliyah was another wound. The anonymous message burned in his mind. "She's closer than you think." For nights, he drove through streets, stopped at bus stations, searched small neighborhoods, anywhere she could have gone. His heart refused to accept defeat. The unexpected glimpse. One evening, as he walked through a crowded bazaar, he froze. A small figure darted past him. Hassan. His little backpack bounced on his shoulders, his walk still weak but familiar. Rayyan's breath caught. Hassan. Before he could think, he followed the boy through the crowd. Hassan disappeared into a narrow lane, and at the far end, Aliyah. She was standing by a vegetable stall, her dupatta covering half her face, trying to stay unnoticed. But when Hassan tugged at her hand and pointed back, her eyes lifted, straight into Rayyan's. Time stopped. The collision of hearts. Her lips parted in shock, her face paling. She grabbed Hassan's hand. "Hassan, hurry." But Rayyan was already there, his voice trembling, desperate. "Aliyah." She froze. The sound of her name in his voice broke every wall she had built. Her eyes filled with tears, but she turned away. "Rayyan, you shouldn't be here." He stepped closer, his chest heaving. "I searched everywhere. Do you know what these days without you have done to me? You told me to forget you. How could I, when you're the only reason I breathe?" Her tears fell, but she shook her head. "You don't understand. If your father finds out, I don't care about him." Rayyan's voice cracked, raw with pain. "Aliyah, I walked away from everything for you. Money, power, family name. None of it matters. Only you do." The breaking point. Aliyah's heart battled itself. She wanted to collapse into his arms, to let his love drown her fear. But the image of her mother and Hassan suffering because of Kamal haunted her. Her voice shook. "Rayyan, every moment with you puts my family in danger. Your father will never stop. I can't let them pay the price for our love." He grabbed her hands, holding them against his chest. "Then let me pay it. Hurt me, fight me, break me, but don't push me away. Don't punish both of us for his sins." Her tears blurred her vision. She whispered, "Why does love have to hurt this much?" Rayyan's eyes softened, his voice trembling. "Because it's real. And real love is worth every scar." A fragile embrace. Finally, her strength shattered. She fell into his arms, sobbing against his chest. He held her as if the world itself was slipping away. Hassan watched quietly, his small face lighting up. "API, don't cry. Rayyan Bai is here now." Rayyan kissed the top of her head, whispering fiercely, "I'll never let you go again, Aliyah. Even if the whole world stands against us, I'll fight until my last breath." And though her heart still trembled with fear, for the first time in days, she allowed herself to hope. But destiny wasn't done with them yet. From across the street, a man in a black coat lowered his phone after taking a photograph of their embrace. He sent it to Kamal Ahmed with a single message. "Found them." The photograph of Rayyan and Aliyah embracing landed on Kamal Ahmed's desk within minutes. His jaw tightened, his eyes burning with fury. "She defies me again," he muttered. "And he chooses her over me." Without hesitation, Kamal made a call. "Bring them to me. Now." The storm arrives. Back in their small rented room, Rayyan and Aliyah sat with Hassan and Ami, trying to savor the fragile warmth of togetherness. For the first time in weeks, Aliyah felt the weight on her chest slightly lift. But that peace shattered when heavy knocks pounded on the door. Rayyan's body stiffened. "He found us." Aliyah clutched Hassan protectively, fear flooding her eyes. "Stay behind me," Rayyan said, his voice steady but fierce. The door burst open. Kamal's men stormed in. Within minutes, Rayyan was surrounded, but he fought like a lion, his only thought, protect Aliyah. Yet the men dragged them all into a black car, heading straight for the mansion. The father and the son. Kamal stood tall in the grand hall as Rayyan and Aliyah were shoved inside. Hassan clung to his sister, trembling. Kamal's voice was cold as ice. "Do you see what you've done, Rayyan? Throwing away your name, your family, your future, for her." Rayyan met his father's eyes with unshaken resolve. "For her, I'd throw away the world." Kamal's gaze shifted to Aliyah. "And you've ruined my son. Do you think love can feed your brother? Cure his illness? Lift you from the dirt?" Aliyah's tears burned, but she stood tall. "Maybe not. But love can give us strength your money never will. And that is something you'll never understand." A son's defiance. Rayyan stepped forward, facing his father like never before. This ends today. Either you accept my love for Aliyah, or you lose me forever. Kamal's face reddened, his pride shaking. You would choose her over your own blood? Rayyan's voice cracked, but his conviction never faltered. She is my blood. She is my heart. And without her, I am nothing. The hall fell silent. Even Kamal's men lowered their eyes, shaken by Rayyan's words. The turning point. Just then, Hassan, small, fragile Hassan, stepped forward. His little voice trembled but carried a weight far beyond his years. Uncle, please, don't take my API away. She's all I have. If you love your son, let him have the same. The room froze. Kamal's eyes flickered, just for a moment, as if a crack appeared in his stone heart. He saw his son's desperation, the boy's innocent plea, the girl's tears. And in that moment, something inside him shifted. The decision. Kamal turned away, his voice heavy. Leave them. Rayyan's eyes widened. What? Kamal clenched his fists. If you want to throw your life away, so be it. But remember, Rayyan, you chose love over legacy. From this day, you are no heir of mine. Rayyan's voice broke, but he smiled through the pain. He turned to Aliyah, holding her hand tight. Then I am richer than I ever was. Aliyah's tears spilled as she looked at him, her heart overwhelmed with love. The new beginning. They left that mansion hand in hand, the night air wrapping around them like freedom itself. Life wasn't suddenly easy. There were struggles, debts, Hassan's health to care for. But they faced it all together. Every smile, every tear, every meal shared in their small home became a treasure. Because now, they weren't just surviving. They were living, with love as their wealth. The epilogue. Years later, sitting outside the same bookstore where they first met, Rayyan held Aliyah's hand as Hassan ran around, laughing and strong. Rayyan whispered, "Do you ever regret it? Choosing me, despite everything?" Aliyah smiled softly, resting her head on his shoulder. No, because in the end, love is the only choice worth making. And as the evening sun bathed them in golden light, their story, born from a bus stop, tested by storms, but anchored by love, remained a living proof that true love, no matter how impossible, always finds a way. Moral of the story. Money, pride, and status may rule the world, but the power of love can conquer even the coldest of hearts. True wealth is not in riches, but in the people who stand by you when everything else is gone.